Yes, roomies, welcome back to another video and thanks for joining me. So in today's video, it's going to be all about fire bellies. So we're going to do some more work on the fire belly toad Paludarium 2.0. As well, I've got some new baby fire bellies for that enclosure, which we're going to add into the new quarantine tank for the time being. And we've also got an adult as well. So if you want to see all of that, then make sure you don't go anywhere, because that's all coming up right after this. And welcome back. So like I said, we got a bit of building to do, which I'm sure you guys would be glad to hear. As well, we've got some new fire bellies, like I mentioned, for the new tank when it's ready to be set up. So they're going to need to go in a quarantine setup, thanks to our good friend Tim from Tim Reptile. And I do have some bad news, unfortunately. So for those of you who've been following the channel, you'll know that I did have a female fire belly toad who was sick. Now, we found her originally, she was swimming unusually, she was leaning to one side, and we separated her. She was doing fine for a long time, but unfortunately a few weeks ago I found her. Fortunately, she passed away. So, bit of bad news, but I think what had happened to her from everything I'd seen and speaking to vets is that she's probably had a stroke. Now, she was eating, doing everything she should have, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, she didn't make it. Now, this could have been down to a bit of old age as well, because I probably had them now for maybe 5-6 years maybe, so it could have been to do with that, but obviously she wasn't very well as well, so we've had to say goodbye to her. And not that I like to just replace animals, but Tim from Tim Reptile, when I went down to see his reptile room the other day, and if you haven't checked out that video yet, then I'll leave a link down in the description and a card up here or here. But he was kind enough when I told him the news to offer me another female fire belly toad from his own collection. So we got to add her into her enclosure, which is the one behind me today. But why don't we get on with some of the building first, and we'll check out the frogs later on in the video. Okay, so this is the state so far. So those who've been following along, I'll leave a link, or haven't been following on rather, I'll leave a link in the description for the playlist. But we've pretty much worked out the waterfall, we've peeled the foam, added the expanding foam obviously, and then we made basically the impression we want for the waterfall to flow down, which we water tested. Again, there's a video on that, and I'll leave that down in the description if that's something you want to see. But we've had to lie it a bit of a funny way, so it's hard to tell what it looks like, because I'm planning on trying to get all the foam done on the back and on the sides. Sorry, I'm dragging my microphone lead around with me. So we can get this done in one go, hopefully, and then we can touch up any bits that we need to. So enough of me waffling on, let's get some silicone on the go. Okay, so we're back on the building and we've managed to get the Eco Earth on, obviously using silicone. Now, I usually leave this about 24 hours just to be safe. I'm probably going to leave it a little bit shorter, maybe 17, 18 hours, just so I can try and get this done. But if you're looking to do this, then the silicone should be completely cured within about 24 hours, depending on how much you add. Now, it should be cured enough for me to tip this over about lunchtime tomorrow, because I've started doing this about 6 in the evening today. So it'll be a little bit less, but it should be fine. But we'll carry on with that build and we'll tip that up a bit later on in the video. So I've got to wait a while, but you won't, because I'll be coming up later. So while we're waiting for that to be done, why don't we crack on and get some of the baby fire bellies into their tank. I don't know if you can tell from the footage, but these little frogs are absolutely tiny. They're doing really well at the moment and I'm really happy with them. They're not going to be staying here because the build you would have seen earlier, I'm making for my father-in-law, so he wanted a fire belly enclosure after seeing the one behind us. So unfortunately they're not staying, but I will keep you updated as much as I can on them once this enclosure goes and they leave us, but they will be with us for a little while still. But I just want to say a massive thanks to Tim from Tim Reptile again for donating these frogs to us. I really appreciate it, Tim. He had a lot of breeding activity this year and last year and kept some back for us, so amazing. But if you haven't seen the video already, a couple of weeks ago I made a trip down to Tim in Carmarthen. So I had to take the train down and Tim kindly volunteered to pick me up from there because I'm one of those 35-year-olds that doesn't drive. But spent a bit of time with Tim and his family, who made me feel really welcome, and we made a reptile room tour of his setup as well, which is absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll leave a link in the description and then a card up here or here. But as always, go and show him some love, go and hit that subscribe button on his channel. If you like this sort of content, you'll definitely like Tim's. But I've fed these frogs already, they're doing really well at the moment. I'm probably going to release their first feeding as a YouTube short video at some point. So if you're interested in that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell if you haven't already. But they're only in this setup temporarily until this enclosure is done. Now, after you would have seen earlier that we added the silicone, added the Eco Earth, and now we just need to tip it up, see what patches and things we need to make up. I just need to do a little bit of work to the lid of the waterfall. And a couple of odd things, and then once this is set, I can take a look at the enclosure and see how I want to add plants and what sort of plants will do well. And I always find that ordering the plants, depending on the setup, is much better, seeing what will work where, rather than ordering plants and hoping they work out. So I do that with the aquascapes, I do that with this. So once we've done this process, I will be ordering the plants, adding the substrate, and finishing this enclosure off. Now, I did want to make this in one build video, but unfortunately it's been really busy and it's very difficult to have a big project like this going, carry up with 2 videos a week. So they are going to be put together in different stages, but I will make a full video of the build at the end. So if you want to see that, don't miss out. But why don't we tip this up now and see how it's looking? And now is looking a bit more natural. So the bulk of the construction is done. I did intend on covering all of this in this video, but unfortunately some bits we've missed and not been able to do because of the way that it's set out. But I will be patching that up and doing the finishing touches. I'll probably include that in a future vlog video as well. But now I've got a good idea how the system's actually going to look, and I can start thinking about planting. So we'll be doing that very soon, and I can't wait to get this filled with substrate, plants, and finally get it up and running for the new frogs you would have just seen. But for those who are not familiar with these sort of builds, now, like I said to you, roughly it'll take about 24 hours to cure. I can smell the silicone slightly still because I haven't waited that long. But the main thing to consider is when you actually add in the substrate to the silicones, make sure you work it in like you need in bread, and make sure that it pushes right in so it gives a good full coverage. Now I am going to need to cover the waterfall. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. It might be a mixture of some Eco Earth, because I did use Eco Earth on the original Fire Belly build. But I'm not sure whether I'm going to add any stone. I'm probably going to add some extra hardscape details in this as well, which will be on an upcoming video. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on the progress of this tank. At the moment, there's a stark difference between the stone and the substrate, because once the substrate gets wet, it'll be a lot darker. It tends to turn more of a blackish, dark brown color. So it'll all be revealed once we do the final parts and get this scape actually finished. But before I get even shinier and even more sweaty, because it's sweltering in here, but what else is new? We've got another Fire Belly to add. So we've got an adult female Fire Belly, courtesy of Tim from Tim Reptile as well. Now she's going to go in with the original Fire Bellies. Normally I would quarantine, but I know Tim's had these for a very long time, and actually probably one of the mothers to the babies we've added in as well. But actually there's another Fire Belly actually I need to show you. Wait there. But also on my trip down to Tim at Tim Reptiles, Layla, one of Tim Reptiles' crew, made me a little Fire Belly ornament, which is going to go in the new reptile room. So thanks very much, Layla. Really sweet. I love the Fire Bellies, obviously. But I think that's enough of me waffling on. Let's get her in the tank. So finally, all the Fire Bellies are settled into their new homes, whether that be permanent or temporary. Now the female has done really well, so it is a couple of days on if I'm honest. And she's settled in really nicely. The frog's not been calling as much, so hopefully that means they're happy. Now I have fed them a couple of times and she has been eaten, so she seems to settle into a new home really quickly, and the Fire Bellies all seem to be getting on. Despite when we added her in there, one of them jumped straight on top of her into the water, but it's Fire Bellies, what are you gonna do? But I hope you've enjoyed today's video, got to see some of the progression of the new Fire Belly build, and we also obviously added the babies and a new addition to the room, as well as some arts and craft Fire Bellies. So it's all been about Fire Bellies, but there's plenty more exciting things to come on this channel. But if you like this sort of content around reptiles, amphibians, bioactive builds, and we also do a lot of fish content with aquascaping, tropical fish, especially around nano fish, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. It really, really helps me out. If you want to support the channel anymore, check out my merch. I've got the chameleon tropical t-shirt on today. Probably should have the Fire Bellies t-shirt on, but that's also available, and plenty of fish keeping and reptile keeping t-shirts and designs as well as channel merch. So if you purchase any of those, any of the money goes straight back into this channel. But I think that's enough of me waffling on for one video, and I hope to see you in the next one. So I'll catch you next time. Bye.